old fogey you. What do you mean gender distinctions? It's all just one spectrum of fluidity, isn't it?
Yeah, well, again, here's something that is unsustainable.
Yeah.
One of the principles in the book is if gay activism continues to go on this path, it becomes completely unsustainable. You're talking about a world with gender-neutral bathrooms and gender-neutral locker rooms. You're talking about a world where perception is reality. And again, in Outlasting the Gay Revolution, you went through the book. You know it, example after example. I'm not talking about what's coming tomorrow. I'm talking about young people, all cited, documented in the book. I talk about young people who are rebelling against the gender binary, and they say, don't call me male or female, call me tractor. There are people who have what's called species dysphoria, not just gender dysphoria, right, but now species dysphoria, where they are convinced they are part wolf, or they are part bumblebee, or they are part jackal, and they are suicidal because no one understands them in school. And then they find out there are, according to them, several 100,000 in America just like them. They call themselves Therian or otherkin. Some believe they're part alien. Hey, why not? If perception is reality, if Bruce Jenner is Caitlyn Jenner, then Rachel Dolezal is black. James, I am declaring today that I am a black female Viking, and to the core of my being, I believe it. And if you don't accept it, then you are transphobic and xenophobic and whatever else it is.
No, Michael, the reason I don't accept that is because you made one major error there. Everybody knows, who was born in Minneapolis as I was, that the Vikings have gone to the Super Bowl 4 times and lost every time. So you would not choose to be a Viking by making choice.
Okay.
So
I wasn't thinking sports. I was thinking ethnic. But thanks for catching me in that. But listen, having read the book, having talked to me behind the scenes,
right,
that my heart breaks for people who struggle. I can't imagine what is going on in someone to get Bruce Jenner to do what he did. I can't imagine the struggles parents have when their 3-year-old kid insists, the boy insists he's a girl, and these struggles. But basically, we need to understand that gender distinctions are what makes the world go round. It's that simple. And when you start to deny biology, I talked to people in Charlotte there was a rally going on when there was going to be a big vote about this quote transgender bill or bathroom bill. I talked to one woman. I said to her, if I believe I'm a horse, can I use the stable? She said, yes, you're not hurting anyone. I talked to a black gentleman, and I pressed, if I believe I'm black, am I black? Finally, he said, yes, if you believe it, you are. Hang on, it gets worse. He said to me, what they do in the hospitals, determining gender by biology and chromosomes, is so primitive. Gender, they say, is not what's between your legs. It's what's between your ears. So what about people with what's called body identity integrity disorder?
Right.
Dan Savage is now on record saying it's their own body. They can do what they want because he's got to be consistent.
Right.
If you can mutilate what's between the legs, you can mutilate one of the legs. If you are convinced that you need to be amputated or an amputee to be whole, then you should have the right. Your body, your choice. And Dan Savage, at least, is consistent. And when he's talking about marriage, he's consistent with that, too. He says we practice what's being called being monogamish. He and his partner, as of a few years ago, or his, quote, husband, as of a few years ago, they said they had at least 9 different threesomes since they have been, quote, married. And he says that's why they're happy, because they're not monogamous, they're monogamish. I quote gay activists in Outlasting the Gay Revolution who say, oh, yeah, marriage is going to change now with our influence. We're going to show you how to really do it. Your old monogamous ways they're antique. That's why you have all these problems. We're going to show you the way to do it. So, again, these things can only go so far. Yeah. And we understand that not every boy is going to play football and not every girl is going to sew. We understand that, but we celebrate gender distinctions. Otherwise, you have complete social madness. And I agree. People are drinking the Kool-Aid. There's a spirit of delusion. You think they're going to see this, and they don't see it. But it can only go so far before it crashes and burns.
Oh yeah, there's no question that it leads directly to destruction. It's just you know, the hopeful part of me recognizes that the point of contact that we have is that we're made in the image of God, and a person that's made in the image of God recognizes these things, understands these things. I mean, there is a act of suppression going on, but my goodness, the depth of that suppression and the power of that suppression and the fulfilling of Romans 1 we're seeing going on around us is truly something that I suppose there was a time when I would have said, well, maybe down the road it could happen. It just is so fast.
Yeah.
It's just startling, I think, to most of us, certainly in our generation, that it could happen this quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I knew many of these things were going to happen, wrote about them as you did. We sensed they were coming. It seemed obvious. But then the rapidity of it, the degree to which the bottom just fell out, it is stunning. Look, I have on page 111 of the final copy, I know you have an advanced copy, so maybe a different page, under the section Defining Marriage and Refuse to Redefine Marriage, I have a potential wedding vows. Why not? So here's the man speaking. I take you as my wife, but probably not for life. I take you as my own, but not just you alone. I pledge myself to you, and perhaps to others too. I take you as my bride, although your name is Clyde. I mean, why not? Because as things go on, look, you live together outside of wedlock, no problem, right? You have kids together outside of wedlock, no problem. You get married, you lose interest in a year, you get divorced. So what is marriage anyway then? Put aside the homosexual issues. What is marriage anyway? It no longer has any meaning. Now you add in, it's a combination of it could be two men or two women. You add that possibility in, and then that means it just can't be limited to two logically anymore. The thing becomes utterly meaningless, which is why we see it in the Scandinavian countries, other countries that have redefined marriage, that marriage in general is just of much less interest to people.
Yep.
More and more people living together out of wedlock, and then that brings greater instability, and then kids are raised in greater instability. I have some quotes from the Anonymous Us website and from some surveys about kids from anonymous sperm donors, and it is heartbreaking to read when you realize these kids, they have no idea who their dad is, and they meet someone that looks like them and they think, am I related?
Yep.
Could there be incest? There are even stats I have in the book from Australia where they're in a relatively small community with a number of lesbians that they basically all use the same sperm bank. Now they're realizing that their kids are all related.
Yeah.
And their kids start to have relationships, it's going to be incestuous. It's not what God intended.